All right, welcome back to System 46. Today's topic is going to be insulin and fat burning. Now, I could talk for hours on this, so I'm going to do a few brief videos on it, break it all down as simple as I can, and this is going to help you not only with your health in a great way, but also how you burn fat on System 46 when you're training on it. You have to manipulate carbs. We'll get into that in a minute, but I'm going to tell you right now that insulin is a few things. The first thing I want to tell you is that it's either going to be, we've talked about this before, it's going to be your friend or it is going to be your enemy or your foe. So friend or foe, it is both, okay? Insulin is an energy carrier or an energy storage hormone, okay? It's released by the beta cells in your pancreas. The key about the energy storage, this is the key right here, is to store, all right? So every time you take in some form of carbohydrate, good or bad, complex or simple carbohydrate, I don't care if it's organic black rice or it's a chocolate donut, either way you're gonna get insulin spike. One is gonna spike you more than the other for various reasons. We'll get into that later, but that has to do with what's called the glycemic index. We'll get into that on another video. Either way, you are going to spike insulin. The amount of insulin your pancreas can make, number one, the ability to actually make insulin, okay? Number two, then transport from the bloodstream while it grabs glucose, because you just spiked your sugar levels, if I can spell that right. You have to make insulin, then it has to be transported through the bloodstream. As it grabs that glucose, it is a carrier, like a vehicle. Then it needs to be transported to your cells. We've talked about this before, so I'll just draw a quick double phospholipid bilayer. This is all fat in here, the wall or the cell membrane of your cells. We talked about cell receptor sites. I put these Y-looking things on the cell membrane, right? These are called your GLUT4 receptors, remember? So GLUT4 receptor sites are for insulin. The energy that we talked about, the frequency we talked about of all hormones, all nutrition, all supplements, all foods have an energy. So GLUT4 receptors are for insulin, they're not for anything else. Because insulin's frequency is the lock and key mechanism for insulin to be pulling that glucose into that receptor site. Once it's drawn in, then the glucose can be used for energy and making ATP and whatever else your body wants to use the glucose for. This is a limited system. What I mean by that is you can only store so much. So if you're going to keep taking in carbohydrate, and even though you're training or not training, you're going to have a capacity or an affinity to keep this sensitive, and you're going to have an affinity to how much carb you can store, which is in liver and muscle tissue. You have to have more GLUT4 receptors. If you want to shut down GLUT4 receptors, just constantly eat carb all the time. Just do that. Eventually, you become insulin resistant. So when your GLUT4 receptors go down, that is your brain shutting off insulin production as it makes insulin, so you become more resistant. So when GLUT4s go down, you become more resistant. And there's various reasons why this can happen, but for the most part, is the brain is shutting down the pancreas production because it's stressed out. It's kind of like overtraining. You are overtraining your organs. And by the way, this goes for functionality on all organs, which is why fasting works so well, because it keeps your organs from overtraining. That's another nugget for another day. So when your GLUT4 receptors go down because you've been pounding carbohydrates for who knows how long, maybe genetically you have something going on with you as well with insulin, but you're just not making enough. And you're not making enough because the pancreas is stressed out, you're eating too many carbohydrates, your GLUT4 receptors go down, you start to head toward resistance, which we all know as a type 2 situation, type 2 diabetes. Type 1 is you're not making any at all, you have to take insulin or you will not survive very long, which means that this is an incredibly important hormone. Now, to burn fat, you have to make the insulin, it has to be transported, right? The glucose has to have GLUT4 receptors to get into your cells, your muscle cells, and your liver cells, and it has to load efficiently. It has to load with strength. The best way to do this is to get away from your carbohydrates a little bit and then come back to them. I know there's a lot of diets out there. I've tried all of them. And there's a way that I've kind of figured out. This is not for everybody, but it works every time someone does it, okay? If you are halfway decent healthy, if you're like 5 on a 10 scale or higher, this will work for you. If you're kind of sick and you have all these little diseases or all these little tiny things you're like on a 4 or lower, it's going to be harder for your body to do this. But if you're 5 or higher and you start manipulating insulin, which I'll show you in a minute, this will burn fat off you like crazy. So we're going to stick with this for now. We're going to go to another video, but right now you need to transport that glucose into your cells. There better be enough GLUT4 receptor sites, and that will happen if you're insulin sensitive, not if you're resistant, because the pancreas is too stressed out. So let's move on to insulin and fat burning and insulin sensitivity and how we manipulate carbs to do that while you're on System 46. Welcome. God bless you.